what is time anymore, right? Of house parties. We are so glad to be back with you. For those of you that I haven't met before, my name is Kathy Davidson. I serve on our college ministry staff, and I am so glad to be teaching you guys tonight. I'm going to give the disclaimer that I gave a few weeks ago. I am very pregnant. The table conveniently hides the bump, but he's there, I promise, and he's taking all my oxygen. So if I sound a little bit like I can't breathe, I really can't, but it's not my fault. So we're just going to have to deal with it. Thank you guys for bearing with us. And honestly, Nate and I just want to say thank you so much for jumping into house parties. I know that this wasn't the summer that you had planned. It's honestly not the summer that we had planned. We wish we were all together learning and talking about spiritual disciplines together. But we're not. We're doing the best we can. And so thank you for jumping into your house parties. We've heard so many amazing stories of what God is doing there. And so we're excited for another night. I'm excited to be teaching about Sabbath because I love rest. Like, I would assume we all love rest, but I think I love it a little bit more. In particular, the sleep part of rest, I really, really, really like. In fact, that's the hard part for me of having kids, is that you lose sleep. Like, if you could guarantee that I'm going to get 8 hours of consecutive sleep every night, I will probably have 10 kids. Like, I love kids. I can handle the snotty noses and the poop and the toddler tantrums. I can handle all of that as long as I have sleep. But with newborns, you don't have sleep, as I'm about to experience again. I don't know why I did this to myself. But 2 years ago at this time, we had a 2-month-old named Joel, and we were in that no sleep phase. And it was so difficult that it led me to a bit of an existential crisis. And I wish I was just kidding or being dramatic, but this actually did happen. Every single night for the first probably 6 months of his life, he woke up every 2 to 3 hours on repeat. And you can handle that for a week, but month 2 or 3, you're literally losing your ever-loving mind. Basically, as soon as I fell into a deep sleep, he would wake up and he was hungry because he was so fat. He just ate all the time. So I had to go in there, feed him, take care of him, put him back to sleep. But some nights were harder than others, and so I started praying really fervently with every faith I could muster. Faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. It can get my baby to sleep. And so I would pray. God, I know you're good. You want rest for your children, so please help me get some sleep tonight. Please, please, please. Well, as it turns out, newborns still like to wake up, even if you're praying that they sleep through the night. And so one night in particular, I just lost it. I'm sitting there nursing him. I start bawling, and I vividly remember picturing God over in the side of the room, and I had this yell, but whisper yell conversation with God, and I was like, God, you say that you love us and that you hear our prayers, but obviously you're not listening to my prayers right now. You know what? Maybe prayer isn't even real. You know what? I bet you aren't even real. I don't believe in God. Literally said that. Put the baby back to sleep, went on to bed. I forgot about this thing called a baby monitor that hears what you say and then shows it to the other side of the camera where my husband was sleeping in our room. And normally he's asleep, but I guess he wasn't. Wisely, he didn't say anything that night, but the next morning he looked over at me and he goes, so I heard you don't believe in God anymore? And then, of course, we both lost it. Because, of course, I believed in God, but sleep makes you say insane things. I didn't mean it, and sleep makes you crazy. God knows this. He knows we need sleep. We need rest. We need time to recharge, and that is why he's instituted a Sabbath, because he is a good father who does love us. And so he wants us to have rest. The problem is we think that we're too good for rest. We think we're too busy for rest. Our culture celebrates the hustle. We equate busyness and being needed with being important. And so we think if we take that time to take a full day of resting in God, like God commands us, that we're not going to be as important as we want to be. But it is a command from God. In the Bible, he commands us to take a Sabbath and even models it. So we are going to talk about that tonight, about why he commands it, why it is so important for us. And even in our go, go, go culture, we might think that a Sabbath is impossible, but it doesn't have to be. So tonight we're going to talk about how Sabbath is an exercise in trusting God, It's an exercise in prioritizing God. But most of all, it is an exercise that we just need to practice. So, first of all, Sabbath is an exercise in trusting God. And I know a few of you are like, wait, what? How does me not taking a Sabbath mean that I don't trust God? How are they connected? But think about it. In the olden days, when Sabbath was created, the society was purely agrarian, right? They had to farm and field and glean the crops so that they could eat. That was their way of survival. That they couldn't just go pick up dinner at Whataburger or In-N-Out. Like, they had to work the field. So for them to take an entire day off from working and gleaning and gathering food, that was an exercise in trust. It was them saying, okay, God, you're telling me to not work the field, so that means that you're going to provide and we're going to have enough food. Now for us, ours may not be as dramatic or as drastic as the Israelites back then, but we still play that same game. We have to have this trust in order to Sabbath well. A day off from checking emails? Are you kidding me? What if someone needs me? What if I miss an important email or text from my boss that I really need to respond to? A day off from my intense workout schedule? Are you kidding me? Like, how am I going to get my body to where it needs to be? How am I going to meet my goals if I don't do this intense thing that I have planned? A day off from running errands or prepping, like, how am I going to be ready for the week if I'm taking off today? A day off from all these social obligations and hanging out with people who need me? Like, what if they stop needing me? What if they stop asking me to hang out because one day a week I say no? We wrestle with that same thing, but to take a Sabbath means that we are taking a stand for trusting God. Like I said earlier, we equate our busyness with our importance. That plays into our identity. When we try to be so busy and so important, in a way we're trying to play God, but we need to stop playing God and instead trust that God will be God. And Sabbath helps us do just that. It helps us trust that God is God and we are not. And if there is something so urgent, so important that we have to do, but yet we choose not to do it on our Sabbath, we are reminding ourselves of our trust in God and that He will be God. He will take care of whatever that huge thing is because He is God and we are not. Exodus 31:13 says it this way. This is God, and He's saying, "You are to speak to the people of Israel and say, above all, you shall keep my Sabbaths. For this is a sign between you and me throughout your generations, that you may know that I, the Lord, sanctify you." This verse says we take the Sabbath so we know that it is the Lord who sanctifies. He does it. We cannot do it on our own. Sabbath is a sign. It reminds us that God is the only one who can sanctify. He's the only one who can make us holy. He's the only one who can provide for us. He is God and we are not. We cannot do this life on our own. And so Sabbath helps us. It reminds us to trust in the one who can. Rest implies trust. It means that we're not trying to do this life on our own. And so Sabbath is important. It's an exercise in helping us trust God. It is also an exercise in helping us to prioritize God, which I think we could use a lot of work on. At least I can. And I think that's why that God tells us to take an entire day for a Sabbath. Think about it, like we don't give a full day to anything anymore. We are a multitasking generation, right? So you might go to school in the morning, work in the afternoon, then you might do homework, then you've got time with friends, then you've got a Netflix binge that you're doing that night by yourself. Like your day is full of all these different things. And I'm not even saying they're bad. We just multitask. We take each day and we divide it up into our time so that we're covering a lot of areas. But God wants us to give Him a full day for this reason. It is a principle in prioritizing Him and our relationship with Him. Because if we can give God a full day, which is really 1/7 of our week, it will begin to infiltrate the rest of the days of our week. Because we're prioritizing Him for a full day, when we don't prioritize anything else for an entire full day, it will help us learn how to prioritize Him throughout our weeks. And, since we don't really give a full day to anything else anymore, by giving one full day to God, it's saying again, it's helping us just say something that we really believe, we just don't always practice well. It's saying, God, you're more important than work. You're more important than school. You're more important than friends. You're even more important than my family. You are more important. You deserve a full day. I know we all believe that we prioritize God, but sometimes we just need help practicing it. And so we need the Sabbath to help us do that. I don't know about you guys. I fail oftentimes at prioritizing God, and I fit him in at the end of my day rather than at the beginning. And so the best way that we can learn how to do that throughout our week is to spend that one day doing it. Matthew 6:33, I know you guys know this verse. It says, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and then all these things will be added to you. Keep the main thing, put the big rock where it belongs, prioritize God, and then all these things will be added to you. Everything else falls into place when we prioritize God. But it doesn't come easy for us, so we need to practice it. Sabbath is an exercise that we need to practice. And like I said, God modeled it. Genesis 2:1-3 says that once God had finished making the heavens and the earth, he rested from all the work that he had done. So God blessed the seventh day, made it holy, because on it he rested from his work that he had done in creation. Did God really need to rest? Like, oh, I created the whole world just by speaking it into being, and now I'm too tired. That was too much. No, God did not need to rest. It didn't make him tired, but he did it to set an example and to model something that he really cares about. Because if God isn't too busy for rest, neither are we. If God isn't too good to rest, neither are we. If he's not too important to rest, then neither are we. But how do we do it, right? I think the first thing is to understand more of the spirit of the law rather than getting legalistic, because there might be some seasons of your life where your Sabbath can be on a Saturday. There might be some where it's a Sunday. There might be some where you have to, depending on your work schedule, if you're like a nurse or something, it might be different days of the week. But each week it's looking at your calendar and it's saying, this is going to be my Sabbath day, and it's protecting that. It's giving God a full day. He doesn't care if it's Friday or Sunday, I promise you. But give him a full day no matter what. And then what does it mean for the Sabbath? It means that we don't do any chores, we don't do any work. I think it means we spend a lot less time on our phones, whether that's responding to people, definitely like not checking emails, maybe not checking Instagram either. It means really saying no to the wrong things so that you can say yes to the right things that help you engage with God in a productive, restful way. And so I use the word productive rest because I really think that's an important distinguisher to make. I think we have productive rest and then we have restless rest, right? Like things that we do that we think are restful to us, but at the end of it makes us feel more restless. So I would say in that category is like binging a Netflix show. Like you never feel good when you're done with it. Scrolling Instagram like for an hour, like I never feel good after I've done that. Playing video games, like maybe in short doses it's okay, but if you spend a whole day doing that, like you're going to feel more tired afterwards. So we don't want to do things on our Sabbath that are restless rest. We want to do things that are productive rest. And so what I think that means is choosing on your Sabbath how you're going to spend your time in a way that productively rests you and prepares you for the week to come in 3 categories. How are you going to engage with God, yourself, and with others? So engaging with God in productively restful way is like, man, maybe it is just sitting and being still with God. Maybe it's reading your Bible, worshiping, listening to a good podcast, going to church. Those are all things that help you actively rest in God. And then for yourself, right? We need to take time to slow down, be still, do things that restore our bodies and our souls. So maybe that is taking a nap. I think that's a great idea, as you guys know. Doing things that restore you, that you enjoy doing, going for a walk, being outside, yoga, if you're into that kind of thing, baking, crafting, throwing the frisbee, whatever restores you as a person individually, do that. And then taking some time for you to engage with other people. Maybe it's a weekly check-in with your grandparents or meeting some friends for dinner and having great conversations. Just whatever you're doing, being productive in that rest and choosing things that are going to fill you up rather than things that are going to make you more tired the next day. I'm not going to pick for you. I really think that's a cool thing for you to talk about tonight in your groups and even with your life groups as you practice this is like, hey, what are things that actually give me more energy, that are productive rest for me? And then how do I actually practice that? So most important, like we said, every single week, the importance of these spiritual disciplines is just to practice them. It is all a discipline that we are going to get better and better at the more that we do it. And so just practice it. Because Sabbath helps us to trust God more. It's an exercise in helping us to prioritize Him more. Most importantly, it's just an exercise that we need to do because rest is that important. Like I said, I'm about to have another newborn, so I'm gearing up for like the lack of sleep that I'm gonna have. Again, if you think about me in August on, once the baby's here, just pray that I have sleep, please. And there are these moms that like when they have the newborn, they like, I don't know, they're like heroes or something. They like, when the baby's napping, they're trying to do laundry, they're cleaning their house, they're making dinner. There's all these like Pinterest mommy bloggers that like shame the rest of us. They like produce all this shame in us because like when their baby's napping, they're like fixing their hair and looking good for when their husband comes home, or like planning activities for their other kids. Like, are you kidding me? When my newborn is sleeping, I am sleeping. I'm not trying to be a hero. I am trying to get rest too, because I know this truth that why do I rest? Because I need it, right? It makes me feel human, it makes me feel good, it makes me just feel like a sane human and a good person. It also makes me a better mom and a better wife and a better friend to anyone that I'm around. Like, it makes me better because I can't be what people need me to be without rest. That's the same thing that's true with us in Sabbath and rest in God. We don't need to try to be heroes. We don't need to try to get so much done. We don't need to try to validate ourselves and our worth through what we produce on this earth. We need to simply be still before the Lord and trust Him to be God and prioritize Him and rest in Him for our sake, right? It will help us, our bodies, our souls. We need rest. We will feel better after we take a Sabbath. But most importantly, it's for the good of other people too, right? Our friends around us, they need us to be rested and taking care of ourselves so that we can be there to help take care of them. So remember that the Sabbath, it is for your good, but it is also for the good of other people. And it is ultimately, it's God's design so that we are taken care of, that we're spending that time with God, prioritizing Him so that we can give the rest of our week to serving and loving other people well. Okay, I'm going to be done for now and for tonight. And I want you guys to continue working through this together and talking about what Sabbath looks like for you. All right, we love you guys. Bye.